Welcome back. So, this was the last slide where we stopped in previous lecture, where we were discussing about the importance of the subducting plates and the subduction zones and the collision zone, and which areas will show us the different type of earthquakes if we go into the classification in terms of the depth, and that is your focus we say, because the occurrence of the earthquake at the depth, they have been termed as focus, and exactly on the surface we term this as an epicenter. So, this part we will cover later, but let us move ahead. So, in terms of further, one more important part which I would like to mention here, that the areas which are having showing the occurrence of shallow earthquakes are more dangerous as compared to the deeper earthquakes. Now, this the previous slide was showing the pattern and the alignment of the earthquakes along the plate boundary, and this slide shows the pattern and alignment and the occurrence or the locations of volcanoes. So, wherever there is a subduction going on, only in that area or only along those plate boundaries you will see or you will come across the volcanic eruptions and active volcanoes. Rest plates will not show the evidence or the signatures of volcanic eruptions. So, these are showing the volcanoes which are again very clearly aligned in the area where you are having the subduction. So, this is the area which shows again the location of the volcanoes. Here also you are having, because this is again a drifting area, and magma is coming up in this area, periodically it get active, and some areas still you come across the active volcanoes. So, in world or on this planet, there are prominent active volcanoes in South America, North America, and then you are having in Aleutian Islands, then in Japan, and also in the region like what we are having the Indonesian side. So, again there is an alignment and very clear indication that wherever we are having the subducting plates, mostly we have the volcanoes, distribution of volcanoes, and this is mostly you see in where there is an subduction of the Pacific plate. So, distribution of volcanoes and the earthquakes are been shown in this slide. The yellow dots are all earthquakes, and then you are having the distribution of volcanoes. So, this area, that is mostly the Pacific, which we were talking about, that most of the volcanoes are in the area where the Pacific plate is subducting. This is also known as ring of fire, the Pacific ring of fire. So, you have all major volcanoes aligned in this area. So, again the dynamic life of an oceanic plates, if we look at, then they results into the, because of the heat coming up from below and melting up of or the partially melting of the stratosphere, which result into your convection currents. So, they result into the volcanic islands. An example of this is the best, the Hawaii Islands. So, if you are having a source which is available of what we call the plume actually, and that will, if the plate is passing over that hot spot, then you will have the volcanoes present along that one. And once it passes through this one, the new portion of the plate comes, and that will also show your volcanic eruption. Another is the spreading centers, where you have the magma has been poured up continuously to the surface, and mostly in the oceanic areas, oceanic plates, and one portion of on this planet which shows this extension of the spreading center is Iceland, where you see that the plates are departing one another, or they are diverging from one another as respect to one another, and then you are having the, you can see the spreading center over there. Then you have the destruction which is going on, you can say. So, here the plate has been added up because the new plates are forming. So, you can say the magma which is coming up through this the hot spot, then they are coming on top and cooling down, and in one area you are having addition of magma resulting into the formation of the plates, and then those plates are been subducted because of the convection currents and all that, and that results into destruction of those plates. Okay. So, dynamic life of oceanic plate, if we have to describe, then we say that destruction, cooling and formation. So, the origin of an oceanic plate as a spreading ridge, okay, where magnetic strips are created. Okay. This part we will talk when we are talking about the magnetic reversal and all that. Okay. And then the cooling phase with the interaction of the deep mantle, where the and sinking phase where the subduction portion creates major earthquakes. Okay. So, this area is going to, or this type of configuration wherever we are going to see, will create major earthquakes and provide the major driving force pulling the trailing plates across the surface. Okay. Which is also we term this as an back rolling of the plate. Okay. So, let us see further about the plate motion, what it can result into. So, you have the transform plate boundaries, you have convergent plate boundaries, you have divergent plate boundaries. So, these are the three type of plate boundaries you have. Transform, where two plates are just passing by each other. Okay. They may not be very damaging earthquakes will be triggered here. Okay. And one is you are having like, but in case of the oblique convergence you are having, where there is just not this one, this may result into damaging earthquakes, as we see and one experienced in the areas like between the Pacific plate and North American plate. And this is typically more dangerous in terms of what we see the subduction. Okay. So, you have one plate which is subducting down, and then since this oceanic plate is subducting below, it will result into the formation of volcanoes on the surface. Okay. Then you are having divergent plate boundaries, that is mainly the spreading centers. So, three general type of plate boundaries. One, you are having the transform plates. Okay. Boundaries allow the plate to move alongside each other. Convergent plate boundaries and divergent plate boundaries allow the plate destruction and creation respectively. Okay. So, this will create, this is the creation, and this one is your destruction of the plate. Okay. So, now if we look at the plate boundaries, there are mainly three type of plate boundaries as we have been discussing. So, you have the divergent plate boundaries, which are also termed as the constructive plate boundaries, or because there is a continuous formation of new plates, okay, where new crust is generated as the plates pull away from each other. Okay. So, these are the areas which are, we term this as an constructive plate boundaries. These are mid oceanic spreading centers. Then we have convergent plate boundary, where crust is destroyed. Okay. So, here it is new crust is generated, here you have the destruction of the crust as one plate subduct under another one. And third one is transform plate boundary, neither produce nor destroyed. Okay. And these are somewhere over here like this. Okay. So, these are the transform plate boundaries, which it does not make much of the in terms of the destruction and the construction or the formation of the new boundaries. So, there is again a sort of a postulation that the Indian subcontinent, what we see is the amalgamation of many microplates, but let us not get into that debate about, but many geologists they believe that there are microplates in between, and because of the different trends what we see in terms of the orientation of the structures, geological structures. So, one is your Dharwarian trend, then you have Aravalli Delhi trend, Satpura trend and the Eastern Ghat trends. Okay. So, they believe that there are suture zones which are present between them, like what we see the suture zone between the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate. Okay. So, Indus Sangput suture zone we have. Similarly, on along with this different trends or the microplates, there are suture zones which exist. So, still research is going on, and that will prove whether there is these are the microplates or not. So, this is what the geologists they believe, that we have different suture zones as it has been shown here. Okay. So, you have different suture zones which exist between this microplates. Okay. So, the overall what we have is the Indian subcontinent is the amalgamation of microplates. Okay. So, this part we have already discussed, that we have like spreading centers, and we have subduction zones, and we have transform faulting or transform fault transform boundaries. Okay. So, there was like in during the Second World War, the mapping was been carried out of the sea floor to understand that what is the topography of the sea floor, and this two gentlemen they were able to identify, that is Hayes and Date, that there is some sort of an change in the magnetic polarity in this region. And plus, so they also got an idea about that as you move away from the spreading center. So, if you move away from the spreading center, then the age of this magma which is now cooled, or which is now the older magma, this is the younger one which has been poured continuously and new crust has been added here. So, this is comparatively, like you can say that 1 and 2. So, this one is older than this one. Okay. So, if you move away from the spreading center, you see the older sequence of the magma. At the same time, they were also able to understand that the magnetic polarity of this material is not the same. Okay. It changes. Okay. And that gave rise to the theory of polar wandering. Okay. That for example, if you are having this as a north pole here and the south pole, so all magnetic minerals will be oriented or aligned in this direction. Okay. Magnetic north. But if this changes, then you have different orientation. Okay. So, that has also happened in the past. Okay. So, sometime the World War, I would say that the part was that to fight, but they were able to find out some good science out of it actually. So, this is what it shows, that this act as in the mid Atlantic ridge, and that is a spreading centers. They also are been termed as magnetic tape recorders. Okay. So, these are the magnetic tape recorder which shows the polar change in the polarity in many areas. Okay. So, this is what has been shown here, the reverse chrome and the positive and negative anomalies which has been shown here, and this timing of this change of the poles. Okay. So, it is not very much fixed. Okay. But it has been seen that it has happened in the past and it will happen in the future also. Okay. So, magnetic time scale was been developed based on the detailed studies on this. So, you can understand that plate motion also helps us in understanding that what was the whether that at some point of time the north pole was the south pole or south pole was north pole. Okay. So, this is what again the magnetic polarity shows, okay, over the time. So, these are the isochrones which are shown. Now, the mid oceanic ridges, this area, the spreading centers are also been termed as mid oceanic ridges, and the term which has been used for this, okay, that is the drifting of plate is also termed as rift basins. Okay. So, they are also termed as rift basins. So, we have this paleo rift basins or Indian ancient rift basins in India also. Okay. So, one is your Kutch and another is Cambay, which is known as now as Khambat. So, these are the two areas which are been, like we term this as an rift basins. Okay. Now, coming to the area where we have like triple junctions, but before that what we see here is your spreading center, okay, and that is your mid Atlantic ridge. Okay. So, you have the two plates which are moving away from one another. Okay. At the same time, you also have the transform faults which are allowing this plate to slide along this. Okay. So, you have what we call the transform plate boundaries, and we have the over here you are having the spreading centers. Okay. Now, coming to this part here, what we see is that there is a three plates which are moving in different direction, and that is what we call triple junction. So, you have like mid Atlantic ridge and then the spreading center, or you can say even this area is like your triple junction, which is between the Arabian plate, African plate and the Indian plate. Okay. Now, coming to this part here, the triple junction, but the part of the Rift Valley here, again the Rift Valley in your African subcontinent, then what you see here is that this portion is moving away, that is going this way, and this portion is moving further this way. Okay. And the line over here is almost like you have this portion of the plate is been getting separated from the African plate. Okay. So, maybe after millions of years there will be another plate, a microplate we can say, where the Ethiopia and other countries will be away from the North African plate. Okay. And this is what we call is an Eastern Rift Valley, Eastern Rift Valley of your African subcontinent. Okay. So, Eastern Rift Valley and Western Rift Valley you have, where you have the divergence of the plate. Okay. Plates are moving away from one another. Now, recently this came in, this phenomena or the process was been highlighted and the postulation again, but that is very close to the truth actually. This is going to happen like in future. So, as we see here that there is this one is the major one, but this whole together will result into the drifting of one plate from another one. Okay. So, at some point of time in future, Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, they will be splitted apart, and whole landmass, and you will have an ocean in between, or we can say not ocean, but the sea in between them. Okay. So, this has a small like movie watched, which was been taken from your news channel, and that what we would like to play here, so that you understand that what geologists think about this breaking up of this island, and what happened, and on what basis this they started thinking of. So, this is not the process which started now. It started long back, but recently, I would say like few years back, there was a huge crack which got exposed, and along that crack or the opening of because of the two continent were separated away slowly, that movement was there, and that resulted into the destruction all along the margin. Okay. So, if you look at this again, the sound is not there, but we will try to put the sound on when we upload the video. So, what basically they say that there was a massive crack in earth opens in Kenya, okay. And along this crack there were a lot of settlements which got they were destroyed, and this crack was it existed since long, okay, and people did not know about it. Probably this got covered by the volcanic ash or the sedimentation which were deposited and covered the area. But again this has moved, and like people have noticed this. Okay. So, there is a deeper part you will see, and that is a massive opening, but is on the top. If it get covered, so you do not see a very clear indication, but this is going to happen. So, what they have suggested that almost like East African rift, this is you are having the eastern side and the western side. If you combine both, then the eastern Rift Valley and the western Rift Valley of the Africa, this two portion of the plate will be separated out, and few of the countries which are sitting on the margin of the eastern coast will get separated. Okay. So, the crack was huge, and it was like very prominent, and people have tried their best to reconnect again, but that is not going to sort out the or not going to stop the overall like what we can say is the process is not going to stop, it will continue. Okay. So, when you get the lectures, we will try to put the videos and all that with sound, so you can go through it. Let us move ahead of this. So, this is one of the live example and the recent example, I would say, of the continental drift. Okay. From so in the rift valleys are also very like can result into the change in the landscape. Okay, completely. So, what we see is that this is the triple junction you are having. So, you have the movement of this portion over here, this portion over here, and you are having this portion of the plate is moving almost in this direction. Okay. So, this is your triple junction, where these plates are moving away from one another. Okay. Now, this part I will discuss in my next lecture, as what because the important part here is that what we have learned, that of course, this will result into the that the separation of the two land masses, but at the same time the plate movement also result into some sort of very prominent features on the earth surface. So, we will try to see the portion here which we call the Dead Sea. Okay. So, I will talk about this part in my next lecture about this one, okay, the Dead Sea, where you have the Arabian plate is moving in this direction and you are having the plate over here okay, is moving and resulting into sort of an lateral movement okay, we can say. So, I will discuss this in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye. Thank you so much. Namaskar.